Welcome.
Thank you.
What was it like growing up as a Jackson? I know you hear that all the time, but
I
but my audience got to know.
No,
Okay,
yeah, it's
what was
okay.
it like?
It was it was normal, if that makes any sense, because for me it was normal. My family is they never made it any different, if that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I got to see some cool things. I got to go backstage for many other shows, not only family shows, but I still played Little League. I still went to school. And my family was very laid back and humble with all that they've accomplished. So I didn't really realize the success and the impact they made until I was probably late teens, almost early 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that they did music and I knew they were popular, but in terms of having an impact, I didn't really realize it till later.
How later?
I'm actually still understanding that.
Are you?
I kid you not. And sure, I went on a lot of concerts with my Uncle Michael, with my brothers,
Yeah.
throughout Asia and Europe, and you see fans fainting. I saw all that, but I don't know. They were so laid back, for the success that they've achieved. You would think it would be one way, but it wasn't. My family was very laid back, and my father's still the guy who will go to Home Depot and find something that he needs, and I love that about him, and it's important to be that way, I think.
He is so cool, your father, Tito. I met him in Nashville.
Did you?
Maybe about a year ago on the red carpet.
Okay, cool.
And he was so cool.
I,
He was so cool, and it was him and his brothers, and but they were all just so cool. But he was just really laid back.
That's my pops.
Yeah.
And like I said, because he would go from doing performances and sold out stadium show, and then the next day, coaching my Little League championship game, and he never made it seem like he was different. Even not only with me and my brothers, but also with my friends. He was just Coach Jackson. And that's, no matter what I succeed or no matter what success I achieve in life, I don't think I can ever be, a different kind of person, because I had that influence in the role models of my father and my uncles.
And what did you learn from your uncle Michael Jackson as far as musically?
Musically, so much.
Oh wow.
So much.
So
but
if you had to pin down something, what really stands out that you remember?
There's so much, really, but if I had to pin down and say one thing that my Uncle Michael helped teach me as an artist, is the importance of melody. Because, no matter where you go in the world, people know melody. Music is a language in itself. So he was very big on melody, making sure the melody's great, and it was a case in point, because whenever I travel with him, whether it's Asia, or Germany or the Netherlands, wherever it was, English isn't their first language. So oftentimes they were singing words they didn't even understand.
Wow.
But the connection was there in the melody and the delivery. And that was something he really taught us early.
Isn't it beautiful that you can go to any country, and Michael had that effect on the world, especially him, because he could connect with anybody through his music.
Absolutely.
And
he took pride in that. He was always telling us, make sure your music means something. Make sure it stands for something. People take music really seriously, and they take it to heart. It can help save people. It can really influence people and the listener to certain things, whether it's emotions or actions. Music is very powerful. So it's something that, again, my brothers and I never took for granted. And to this day, when we do a song, we try to make sure it has some type of impact and connects with people in a positive way.
Absolutely, and it does that. It does that. Is there any pressure to carry on the legacy of the Jackson next generation,
Yeah.
for the next generation? Is there pressure there?
That actually, when we first came out as 3T, that was probably the number one question. And I was 16 when we first came out, and our answer was always no, and that was the honest truth. We didn't feel it. And I think that, again, that's because I didn't realize the legacy and the impact that my family has made, so we never really felt it.
I got you.
Either that or we were just, young and confident, not realizing everything. But I honestly think our family just downplayed everything, you know, and I never felt pressure. I feel a bit more pressure now, only because I understand the importance of music and, like I said, the message that it can have. I have people all the time reaching out to me, thanking me for the music I'm doing now, simply because it's helping them out of depression or helping them with their anxiety. And the song may not even be about that, but just the fact that I'm able to help people is a very empowering thing. So in that way, there's a bit of pressure to help people and to help, you know, keep that going. But in terms of following the legacy or building on it, I don't feel it. I hope I'm doing an okay job and representing my family okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, my family's my family, and I'm part of it, but I'm going to do me, and whatever happens, happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, how were you able to continue on in your music after the death of your mother, though?
It was hard. That was because my mother was our manager at the time, and we were just wrapping up our album. You know, we came out in 1995, but we had been rehearsing for that moment for literally 10 years. We'd been rehearsing and writing songs and for that one moment. And then when my mother passed, you know, I would just turned 16, and it was the hardest thing, obviously. You know, you lose all passion, you lose your inspiration, and you kind of lose hope in life. And I went through a bit of that, and it wasn't until, you know, my Uncle Michael, my grandmother, and my father, those three primarily, and some friends and their families, but they kind of restarted me and re-inspired me, and I know my brothers had their own little select group beyond my father, grandmother, and uncle who helped them as well. But we had to do something great for my mother, and that's something that my Uncle Michael always told us: represent her, make her proud.
That sounds like something he would say.
Yeah, he's, you know, because I'll never forget it. When my mother passed, my Uncle Michael was somewhere in the world, and I swear, I think the next day he was in LA for us. He just dropped whatever he had to do, and he got there for us. And he you know, he was just big for us. He was big.
So your grandmother took y'all in and raised you from that point, or it was?
It was my father. It was primarily my father, but my father had lived almost 2 hours away when that happened. So it took time for him to transition to, you know, having us full time. So it was my grandmother, and we were older. I was 16, and I'm the youngest. So my oldest brother was 21, and my middle brother was 19. So the three of us were still young adults, and I thought I was a young adult, but they were young adults, and we were just trying to get by. But my whole family came together and supported me, and I always say this to him, to my Uncle Jermaine, that when my mother passed and I got home from the hospital when I was delivered the news, he gave me single-handedly the most important hug I've ever received in my life. And, you know, I was in a daze, and it wasn't until that hug, and that's when I broke down crying, and that's the first time I felt like life would be okay. And I don't think he realizes how important that was for me, but it was. It told me that I'll be all right.
Yeah. Love is the answer, you know.